Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vṛndāvaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yakrapatamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Chaitanya, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. So we are in Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrta, chapter number 16, the Lord's attempt to go to Vṛndāvana. So here we were discussing in the last session that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was proceeding, and on his way he has not yet met the Muslim governor, but the news has reached about his arrival to Muslim governor, and so there was a spy who comes and who observes, and just by observing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has actually become mad in ecstasy, and he goes and he informs the governor that seems that this person is a supreme Lord, because the way he is transforming people and changing their hearts. So by hearing the description from the spy, the governor is also completely sold out to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he is very eager to meet him, and he has expressed his desire to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the transformation of the Muslim governor, verse 150 to 201, we have completed till verse number 186, and let us carry forward. प्रतीत करिये यदि निरस्त्रहान आसिबे का 5-7 वृत्य संगिलाना. However, let me make it understood that he should come here without weapons. He may bring with him 5 or 7 servants. So actually there was this person
Mahapatra, to whom they were discussing that governor wants to meet. And when he hears, he is quite amazed that a Muslim governor wants to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he is giving that instruction that if he wants, then he should come here without any weapons and only with few servants. Vishwasaya tahare sakal kahila, Hindu Veshadhari se Yavana Aila.
The secretary returned to the Muslim governor and informed him of this news. Dressing himself like a Hindu, the Muslim governor then came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Dura haite Prabhu dekhi bhume te padiya, Dandavat kare ashru pulakitahana. Upon seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from a distant place, the Muslim governor fell to the ground and offered obeisances. Tears came to his eyes and he was jubilant with ecstatic emotions. So here we see, as of now, till this time, the governor has not met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What has he done? Shravan. He has heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is why this is one of the most potent form of devotional service, which can actually almost instantly, if we don't have any malais, then almost instantly it can create so much of deep love towards the Supreme Lord. So he has just heard, and now he is going to see Mahaprabhu. So he has taken external garments also of a Hindu, and from a distance itself he's paying obeisances and he's experiencing ecstasy. Mahapatra anil tanre kariya sammana, Yoda hate Prabhu age laya Krishna nama.
Arriving in that way, the Muslim governor was respectfully brought before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by the Mahapatra. The governor then stood before the Lord with folded hands and he chanted the holy name of Krishna. So we see that how respectful, of course, because he was the governor, so Mahapatra showed him all respect and he was brought like that in front of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But in turn, we see that governor was in such humility. He had folded his hands in front of the Lord and he was chanting the holy names of Krishna, which is unimaginable actually.
Adhama yavana kule kena janma haila, Vidhi more Hindu kule kena na janmaila. And look at the question what he's asking. So he's submissively asking, why was I born in a Muslim family? This is considered a low birth. Why didn't Supreme Providence grant me a birth in a Hindu family? So he understands that it's like it is more in mode of ignorance and the tendency to commit sinful activities are more. And especially 500 years back when Hindus would actually follow proper Vedic traditions to a great extent. So that time, if we compare, there was huge difference. This time it is current time. I mean, the situation is very different where Hindus would also indulge in things like meat eating and illicit sex, etc. But that time it was quite different. So he is asking, he is lamenting that, alas, why I am born in a Muslim family. I did not get an opportunity. I got a low birth. Hindu haile paitam tomar charana sannidhana, Vyartha mora ei deha yoga parana.
If I had taken birth in a Hindu family, it would have been easy for me to remain near your lotus feet. Since my body is now useless, let me die immediately. So the Muslim governor was thinking that because he has not taken birth in Hindu family, he remains and who cannot come close to the Lord, he cannot follow the proper Vedic samskaras and rituals, and so therefore he cannot actually surrender to the Lord. So he's saying that no, therefore my body is useless and I must immediately give up my life.
Eta shuni mahapatra avishtahana, Prabhu ke karena stuti charane dhariya. Upon hearing the governor's submissive statement, the Mahapatra was overwhelmed with joy. He clasped the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and began to offer the following prayers. So this was happening probably for the first time in the life of Mahapatra, where he was actually seeing that this, generally at that time, Muslims were very envious. So such a person is not only acknowledging Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his presence, but he is also lamenting and accepting that how his is a low birth and how because his body is keeping him away from Mahaprabhu, so better to give up this body. So when he heard, the Mahapatra was completely overwhelmed with happiness. Chandala pavitra yanra shinama shavane hena tomare jiva paila darshane.
Simply by hearing your holy name, a Chandal, the lowest of men, can be purified. Now this conditioned soul has received your personal interview.
Tomar darshan prabhave matahaya. It is no wonder that this Muslim governor has attained such result. Simply by seeing you, all that is possible. So Mahapatra is telling that it is just because of your presence, it's because of your charisma that how this governor has attained such a result. So it is not impossible, it is very much possible. Yanna madhye shravananu kirtanad yat prahavanad yat smaranadapi kvachit swadopi sadhya savanaya kalpate kutah punaste bhagavanu darshanat.
To say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person face to face, even a person born in a family of dog eaters becomes immediately eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. So this is all about a person who's born in a family of dog eaters, which means primarily the person who's born in a family of dominated by mode of ignorance. So such a person, if he associates with the Supreme Lord, either in the form of his holy name or he chants about him, so the holy name of the Lord, his glories, when somebody kirtan, when somebody does kirtan about the Lord, when one hears about his pastimes, so all these are non-different from the Lord. So in any way, or offers obeisances or even remembers him. So in any of these ways, if he associates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then immediately the influence of mode of ignorance vanishes and he comes to the platform of Shuddha Sattva. He transcends the modes. So this is the Krishnadas Kaviraj is giving an example, is quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam, how we see that many of these things were done by the Muslim governor. He had heard about the Lord. He heard the holy names from his spy who had come. When he could see the Lord, he offered his obeisances to the Lord. He chanted the names of the Lord. So of course, despite his background, he had become eligible to render service to the Supreme Lord.
Tabe Mahaprabhu Tanre Kripa Drishtikari Ashvasiya Kahe Tumi Kaha Krishna Hari. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became merciful on him. He glanced at him and what instruction did he say? Tumi Kaha Krishna Hari. So giving him assurance, Ashvasya Kahe. So he gave him Ashvasan, he gave him assurance, and he asked him to chant the holy names of Krishna and Hari. So Srila Prabhupada mentions here when he's talking about that actually Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been requesting the entire world to chant Hare Krishna. And in that spirit, Srila Prabhupada had gone to the US and later to other countries and spreading this thing. So everyone in the world, they have this option of accepting Krishna consciousness. And whoever will do so, that person will certainly be purified irrespective of what is the background, what sinful activities he has done in the past, it is irrespective of his material, mundane positioning as in where he is. But if a person is sincerely chanting the holy name, and then he can definitely be perfect. He becomes perfect. In fact, such a person is far superior than a Brahmana also.
Se kahe more yadi kaila angikara, eka agya deha seva kariye tomara. The Muslim governor then said, since you have so kindly accepted me, please give me some order so that I can render you some service. So it is very simple and natural. When we begin the process of Krishna consciousness, we gradually become purified. And when we become purified, in this case, the purification has been very, very amazingly quick. Just matter of maybe few days, few hours like that. So the purification has been very quick. So in otherwise, as in we practice devotional service, we become purified. And what is the next step? Then we become eager to render service to the Lord. So we see that initially when we'd go to ISKCON temple, we would hear the holy names, we'll participate in Aarti, we'll honor some prasadam, we'll meet some devotees. And gradually we will also begin to do all these things. We begin to chant, we begin to offer bhoga. And then gradually we come to a point where we ask the devotees that can I do something? Can I render some service? So this is very, very natural, which has come about in the mood that Muslim governor has come to. So he's become purified and now he's eager to render some service to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Go Brahmanya Vaishnava Himsa Karyachi Apara Sei Papa Haite Mora Hauka Nistara. The Muslim governor then prayed for liberation from the unlimited sinful reactions he had previously incurred by being envious of Brahman and Vaishnavas and killing the cows. So actually when we chant Krishna's pranam mantra, He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. So we actually are offering obeisances to Krishna, the one who takes care or protector of the cow and protector of the Brahmanas. And this Muslim governor, he is saying that because of his background, because of his religion, he has been quite envious of them and he has been harming them. So he is praying for being liberated of all those reactions, the sinful reactions which are due to him. And as we can see that by chanting the holy name of Krishna, by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one actually become liberated from all the sinful activities, even as sinful as killing a cow or insulting a Brahman or Vaishnav. But then simultaneously it should not be knowingly done. But if it has happened in the past, so chanting Hare Krishna, it is so potent that it can take care, it can counteract those sinful reactions also.
I think the verse that you're referring to was Namo Brahmane Devaya Go Brahmane Hitaya Cha Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Thank you for that. Tabe Mukundatta kahe Shona Mahashaya Ganga Tire Yaite Maha Prabhur Manahaya.
Mukundatta then told the Muslim governor, my dear sir, please hear. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wishes to go to the bank of the Ganga. So we may also come and we may also seek some service, and we see that when we surrender to a spiritual master, the spiritual master engages us in Krishna's service. So he gives very specific instructions what we should do, what we should not do, and how we should practice bhakti carefully so that we can revive our original Krishna consciousness. So we may not, here in this case, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is directly present and the Muslim governor is asking how can I engage in your service. And here we see a devotee of the Lord who explains the desire of the Lord to the Muslim governor that this is how you can serve him.
Tahayaite kara tumi sahaya prakara E bada agya e bada upakara. Please give him all assistance so that he can go there. This is your first great order, and if you can comply, you will render a great service. So because he has requested for a service, so this service has been given to him to be of assistance to see that Mahaprabhu can go cross Ganga. Tabe se Mahaprabhu charana bandiya Saba charan bandi chale drishtahana. After this, the Muslim governor offered prayers to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as well as to the lotus feet of all his devotees. After that, the governor departed. Indeed, he was very pleased. So we see that from what position this Muslim governor was coming. At this point in time, he is able to realize all the envious acts that he had done against the Vaishnavas, the Brahmanas. He has killed so many cows. So all that purification has happened to understand that he had a very sinful past. And now he has surrendered to the Lord. And not just to the Lord alone, he has offered his respects to the devotees also. So we see that when one is in a very beginning stage or a Kanishta devotee, he just accepts the Lord and does not really have regard for the devotees. And when one advances further, one actually begins to not only render service to the Lord, but also develops very meaningful relationship with devotees also. And here we see that a Muslim governor therefore has very quickly advanced in spiritual life. He is not just offering his respects to the Lord, but he is also recognizing that how important the devotees are to the Lord, and therefore the devotees also should be worshipped. And that's what he has done.
Mahapatra rasane kaila kola kuli anek samagri diya karila mitali. Before the governor left, the Mahapatra embraced him and offered him many gifts. He thus established a friendship with him. So actually when we read the book Shri Upadeshamrita, so there are 6 ways it is mentioned for loving exchanges, for deepening our relationship with devotees. And one of such ways is giving gifts. So here we are seeing that Mahapatra, he wanted to establish a friendship with the governor. So he gave him many gifts. He offered him many gifts so that the heart becomes soft and open to each other. Prata kale se bahu nauka sajana Prabhu ke anite dila vishwas pathana.
The next morning, the governor sent his secretary with many nice decorated boats to bring Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the other side of the river. So this was the request made, and the governor has fulfilled it to best of his ability. Many nicely decorated boats were arranged for the Lord to cross over Ganga.
Mahapatra chali aila Mahaprabhu sane Mlecha kaila Prabhu charana vandane. The Mahapatra crossed the river with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when they reached the other shore, the Muslim governor personally received the Lord and worshipped his lotus feet. So this is how he was transformed. Not only was he chanting, not only was he appreciating Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he wanted to do some service. And when we want to do some service, so like here in this case, we see that Mukunda Datta spontaneously, he gave him a service. So that is why the devotees are so valuable in our lives. They actually connect us to Krishna. They teach us how can I serve Krishna. So he wanted to serve Krishna in form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Mukunda Datta told him. And then we see that how he is very happy and he is worshipping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu once again. Ekana vinauka tara madhye ghara swagane chadaila Prabhu tahara upara.
One of the boats had been newly constructed and it had a room in the middle. It was on this boat that they put Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates.
Mahapatre Mahaprabhu karila vidaya Kandite kandite se tire rahi chaya. Finally, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell to the Mahapatra. Standing on the river bank and looking at the boat, the Mahapatra began to cry. So Mahapatra, that time has come to bid farewell to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and so now he was feeling very sad and he began to cry. Jaladasyu bahe se yavana chalila Dashanau kabari bahu sanya sange nila. The Muslim governor that then personally accompanied Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because of pirates, the governor took 10 boats full of many soldiers. So it seems that area was subject to atrocities by pirates, and therefore Muslim governor not only arranged, but he also personally accompanied Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and also 10 boats full of soldiers. So it was like receiving, these days we see that a president or prime minister from some other country arrives. So there is so much of bandobast which is done.
Mantreshwara dushtana de parakarila Pichalada paryanta se yavana aila. The Muslim governor accompanied Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu past Mantreshwar. This place was very dangerous due to pirates. He took the Lord to a place named Pichalda, which was near Mantreshwar. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this governor is accompanying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and ensuring that there is no threat on the way through the pirates. So it is mentioned that he crossed Mantreshwar, and near that there is a place called Pichalda. So there the Supreme Lord was brought. Now, if you will read the purports of this verse and the following few verses, so Srila Prabhupada has very elaborately described as in the geographical location of these places. So we are not covering here in so much of detail, but you can refer the purport for the details as in which place is located where. Like Prabhupada has written that the present day there is this place Diamond Harbour. So that was called as Mantreshwar. So the details are mentioned there. Tanre Vedai Dila Prabhu Se Grama Hoite Se Kale Tan Prema Cheshta Na Parivarnite.
Finally, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade the governor farewell. The intense, ecstatic love exhibited by the governor cannot be described. So now governor himself became like a great devotee. He had developed love of God, and he also experienced those ecstatic symptoms, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell as he was continuing on his journey.
Alaukika Leela Kare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sei Hashune Tanra Janma Deha Dhanya. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes are all uncommon. Whoever listens to his activities becomes glorious and his life becomes perfect.
So we come to the next section, Panihati to Kanai Nachala and back to Shantipur, verses 202 to 215. Sei no kachari Prabhu aila Panihati Navikere paraila nija kripa shati.
The Lord finally reached Panihati, and as an act of mercy, he gave the captain of the boat one of his personal garments. So Mahaprabhu was very happy, and as a symbol of gratitude, he gave his own personal garment to the Navik, the person who brought him there.
So Panihati is a place where we can actually even now visit. If you are traveling from Kolkata to Shridham Mayapur, on the way the Panihati will come on your left.
And we have ISKCON temple also there.
We have ISKCON temple. Prabhu aila bali loke haila kola hala manushya bharila sabha ki bajala sthala. The place called Panihati was located on the bank of the Ganga. After hearing that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had arrived, all kinds of men assembled both on land and on the water. So the news spread like fire, and all the men, they had come, and wherever they could find, they stood there either on land or in water.
Raghava Pandita Asi Prabhulana Gela Pathe Yaite Loka Bhire Kashte Srishte Aila. At length, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was taken away by Raghav Pandit. There was a great crowd assembled along the way, and the Lord reached Raghav Pandit's residence with great difficulty. So many people had turned up to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Mahaprabhu was finding it difficult to walk and to cross over and to reach Raghav Pandit's house. एक दिन प्रभु तथा करिया निवासा प्राते कुमार हाटे आइला यहाँ श्रीनिवासा.
The Lord stayed at Raghav Pandit's place for only one day. The next day, the next morning, he went to Kumarhata where Shiva's Thakur lived. So we remember that Shiva's Thakur was actually staying in Navadvip, but when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas and he left for Jagannath Puri, so Shiva's Thakur also relocated to Kumarhata.
ताहाइते आगे गेला शिवानंद घर वासुदेव गृहे पाचे आइला ईश्वर. From the house of Srivas Thakur, the Lord went to the house of Shivananda Sen and then to the house of Vasudeva Datta. So if we will read in the purport of these verses, so Prabhupada has mentioned certain description from Chaitanya Bhagavat also to support the same thing as how Lord was traveling from one place to the other.
And all these devotees must have been so ecstatic. So every year they were traveling to Jagannath Puri to have darshan of the Lord, and today the Lord has actually come to their homes.
वाचस्पति गृहे प्रभु ये मते रहिला लोक बीड़ भये आइचे कुलिया आइला.
The Lord remained some time at the house of Vidya Vachaspati, but then, because it was too crowded, he went to Kuliya.
माधव दास गृहे तथा शचिर नंदना लक्ष कोटि लोक तथा पाइला दर्शना. When the Lord stayed at the house of Madhav Das, many hundreds of thousands of people came to see him. So Lord was traveling and now he has come to the house of Madhav Das, and the description of Madhav Das is given there again in the purport. It is mentioned that in the family of Shrikar Chattopadhyay, Yudhishthir Chattopadhyay took birth, and he has and this finally he shifted to Kuliya, and the eldest son of Yudhishthir is Madhav Das. So Mahaprabhu is staying in the house of Madhav Das now. सात दिन रही तथा लोक निस्तरिला सब अपराधी गणे प्रकारे तारिला.
The Lord stayed there for 7 days and delivered all kinds of offenders and sinners.
शांतिपुराचार्य गृहे आईचे आईला शची माता मिली तांड्र दुख खंडाईला. After leaving Kuliya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the house of Advaitacharya at Shantipur. So we would all remember that after taking sannyas also, the first place which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited was Advaitacharya's house in Shantipur, and that time Sachi Mata had come and Mahaprabhu stayed there for almost 10 days, and Sachi Mata would cook for him and feed him. Now here again, after many years, Mahaprabhu is back in Bengal. He is back in Advaitacharya's house at Shantipur, and it was there that the Lord's mother Shachi Mata met him and was thus relieved of her great unhappiness. So again Sachi Mata had come, and here is the union of Mahaprabhu and Shachi Mata. Tabe Rama keli grame Prabhu yaiche gela Natashala haite Prabhu purna phiri aila.
The Lord then visited the village known as Ramakeli and the place known as Kanai Natshala. From there, he returned to Shantipur. So the whole description is very quick. Mainly the places that the Lord visited and how he was going around. So from Kanai Natshala, the Lord returned back to Shantipur.
Shantipure puna kaila darshadina vasa Vistari vaniya chena Vṛndāvana dasa. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in Shantipur for 10 days. This has all been described very elaborately by Vṛndāvan Das Thakur. Yataiva ihatara na kailo vistara Purna rukti haya grantha badaye apara.
I will not narrate these incidents because they have already been described by Vṛndāvan Das Thakur. There is no need to repeat the same information, for such repetition would unlimitedly increase the size of this book.
तारा मध्ये लीला यायचे रूप सनातना नृसिंहानंद कैला यायचे पथेर सजना सूत्र मध्ये से लीला अमिता वर्णिलू अतएव पूर्णतः इहाना लिखिलू.
Those narrations tell how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met the brothers Rupa and Sanatan, and how Narasimhananda decorated the road. So Narasimhananda Brahmachari, he was just meditating, and in his meditation he could see the Lord travel, and he decorated the whole road with gems. I have already described these in an earlier synopsis of this book. Therefore, I will not repeat the narrations here.
So moving to the next section, Raghunath Das's eagerness and Lord Chaitanya's counsel, verse number 216 to 244.
Punarapi Prabhu yati Shantipur aila Raghunath Das asi Prabhu re milila.
When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to Shantipur, Raghunath Das came to meet him.
Hiranya Govardhan dui sahodara Saptagrame bar laksha mudrara ishvara.
The two brothers named Hiranya and Govardhan, who were residents of Saptagram, had an annual income of 1.2 million rupees, 12 lakh rupees, when more than 500 years ago. So that was the income of these two brothers. It was not their turnover. So the previous source we saw, there was a mention of Raghunath Das, and now there is this mention of the two brothers Hiranya and Govardhan. So actually Govardhan Majumdar is the father of Raghunath Das. So this family was very, very special. Their family priest Balram Acharya was the favorite of Haridas Thakur. Their family's spiritual master Yodhananda Acharya was a favorite of Vasudev Datta. So this family was very famous, very well known in religious circles.
Mahaishwarya yukta duhe vadanya brahmanya Sadachari Satkulina Dharmika
Agraganya. Both Hiranya Majumdar and Govardhan Majumdar were very opulent and magnanimous. They were well behaved and devoted to Brahmanical culture. They belonged to an aristocratic family, and among religionists they were predominant. So these are the glories, or this is the introduction of Hiranya and Govardhan. So by this we understand that not only they had opulences, but then they were simultaneously very magnanimous also. So they were very charitable, and they would take care of the Brahmins and the Brahmanical culture very nicely. So though they were born in an aristocratic family, and though they had so much of opulence at their disposal, but they were not like pride people. They were very magnanimous people.
Nowadays we see that when somebody has a lot of wealth, how many of them are actually charitably disposed? Yeah. So there's so much attached to the wealth that they have, they do not want to give away, or and they were not only magnanimous, but they were actually devoted to the Brahmanical culture. So they knew, like Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, that we must see also to whom we are giving the charity. So they were very careful, and they were actually sustaining the Brahmanas with their charity.
Nadiyavasi brahmanera upajivya praya Artha bhumi grama diya karena sahaya.
Practically all the Brahmanas residing in Nadia were dependent on the charity of Hiranya and Govardhan, who gave them money, land and villages.
Nilambar Chakravarti Aradhya Duhara Chakravarti kare duhai bhratra vyavhara.
Nilambar Chakravarti, the grandfather of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was much worshipped by the two brothers, but Nilambar Chakravarti used to treat them as his own brothers. So they were very close to Nilambar Chakravarti also, and Nilambar Chakravarti was their worshipable.
So we see such a detailed description of the family so that we come to the point of glorification of Raghunath Das.
Mishra Purandare Purve Karya Chena Sevane Ataeva Prabhu Bhala Jane Dui Jane.
Formerly, these two brothers had rendered much service to Mishra Purandar, the father of Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu. Because of this, the Lord knew them very well.
Se Govardhanera Putra Raghunath Dasa Balya Kala Haite Te Ho Vishaye Udasa.
Raghunath Das was the son of Govardhan Majumdar. From childhood, he was uninterested in material enjoyment. So now, coming from a family who has so much of riches, and here was a son, Raghunath Das, whom we will later see how he becomes Raghunath Das Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis of Vṛndāvana. So he was completely detached. He was the personification of renunciation. So though born amongst so much of opulences, and yet he was completely uninterested in that.
And this is in stark contrast of what we see today. The family, if the family is very wealthy, the parents and the grandparents may be very religious, but because of that wealth, actually the children have become spoiled.
Sanyaskari Prabhu Yabe Shanti Pura Aila Tave Asi Raghunatha Prabhu Re Milila.
When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to Shantipur, after accepting the renounced order, Raghunath Das met him. So this is in retrospect in the past, how and when Raghunath Das met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it was when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas and he went to Shantipur, Raghunath Das had darshan of the Lord.
Prabhura Charane Pade Prema Vishtahana Prabhupada Sparsha Kaila Karuna Kariya.
When Raghunath Das went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he fell at the Lord's lotus feet in ecstatic love. Showing him mercy, the Lord touched him with his feet.
Tanrapita Sada Kare Acharya Sevana Ataiva Charya Tanre Haila Prasanna.
Raghunath Das' father Govardhan always rendered much service to Advaita Acharya. Consequently, Advaita Acharya was very pleased with the family. So here we see the whole family was dedicated to the devotees of the Lord. And therefore the Lord, Advaita Acharya was very pleased, Lord was very pleased.
Acharya Prasade Paila Prabhu Ruchishpata Prabhu Charana Dekhe Dina Bachasata.
When Raghunath Das was there, Advaita Acharya favored him by giving him the remnants left by the Lord. Raghunath Das was thus engaged for 5 or 7 days in rendering service to the Lord's lotus feet. So we see the great fortune of Raghunath Das, which is created by yet another devotee, Advaita Acharya. So this is how devotees are catalyst in our spiritual progress. So here we see that Advaita Acharya, because he liked the whole family and he knew this boy Raghunath Das, and he was very fond of him. So not only he gave Mahaprabhu's Uchisht, his food remnants, but he also engaged him in his service. So very similar incident when we read Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto itself, the pastime or the last life of Narad Muni. So there it is revealed that how Narad Muni was born to a Shudrani, but that lady, she was actually serving the Bhakti Vedantas. So there were these scholarly devotees who were wonderful, known for their devotion, and this lady was actually serving. And at that time, Narad Muni was a small boy. So because of his mother's service, and he developed some interest in listening to what these devotees, these exalted devotees would sit and discuss. So Narad Muni in that lifetime, so he would attend those discourses, have the remnants and serve the devotees. And that is how in the next birth he becomes Narad Muni. So now we will see Raghunath Das, what he is doing. He is honoring the remnants and he is serving Mahaprabhu. And we will see how he becomes Raghunath Das Goswami.
प्रभु तांरे विदाय दिया गेला नीला चला ते हो घरे आसी हैला प्रेमे ते पागला. After bidding farewell to Raghunath Das, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to Jagannath Puri. After returning home, Raghunath Das became mad with ecstatic love.
बार बार पलायते वो नीलाद्री आईते पीता तांरे बांधी राखे आनी पथ हाईते.
Raghunath Das used to run away from home again and again to go to Jagannath Puri, but his father kept binding him and bringing him back. So because of this madness of love, Raghunath Das could not bear the separation from Lord Chaitanya and he wanted to run away to Jagannath Puri, but his father would catch him and bring him back.
पंच पाइका तांरे राखे रात्रि दिने चारी सेवक दुई ब्राह्मण रहे तान रसाने. So this is the security description for Raghunath Das. So Raghunath Das was constantly running away. So he had so much of love for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wanted to go to Jagannath Puri. And his father, what did he do? His father even had 5 watchmen guard him day and night. 4 personal servants were employed to look after his comfort and 2 brahmanas were employed to cook for him. So all this entourage was there to make sure that Raghunath Das is comfortable and Raghunath Das is there. He does not run away to Jagannath Puri. एकादश जन तांरे राखे निरंतरा नीला चले आईते ना पाए दुखिता अंतरा.
In this way, 11 people were incessantly keeping Raghunath Das under control. So one person required 11 people to be put under his control. So from this we can understand Raghunath Das' eagerness, how eager he was to go away. Thus he could not go to Jagannath Puri, and because of this he was very unhappy.
यदि महाप्रभु शांतिपुर आइला शुनिया पितारे रघुनाथ निवेदिला. When Raghunath Das learned that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had arrived at Shantipur, he submitted a request to his father. आज्ञा देहयाना देखी प्रभुर चरणा अन्यथा न रहे मोरा शरीरे जीवन. Raghunath Das asked his father, please give me permission to see the lotus feet of the Lord. And if you do not do what he is saying, na rahe mor sharir jivan, my life will not remain within this body, which means I'll give up this body if you will not allow me to go and meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who had just come to Shantipur.
Shunitan rapeta bahu loka dravya diya padhaila bali shigra ashiha piriya. Hearing this request, Raghunath Das' father agreed. Giving him many servants and materials, the father sent him to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, requesting him to return soon. So Raghunath father Govardhan Majumdar understood this and he agreed, and then he sent with all extended paraphernalia, servants, material, and requesting that you should come back.
सात दिन शांति पूरे प्रभु संग रहे रात्रि दिवसे मन कथा कहे. For 7 days, Raghunath Das associated with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Shantipur. During those days and nights, he had the following thoughts. रक्षके रहाते मुनि के मने छुटी बा के मने प्रभुर संगे नीला चले आबा.
Raghunath Das thought, how shall I be able to get free from the hands of the watchman? How shall I be able to go with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Nilachal? So this is all that he was thinking.
सर्वज्ञ गौरांग प्रभु जानी तान रमाना शिक्षा रूप कहे तान रे आश्वास वचना. Since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was omniscient, he is Sarvagya. He could understand Raghunath Das's mind. The Lord therefore instructed him with the following reassuring words.
Sthiraha na ghare yao nahao vatula krame krame paya loka bhava sindhu kula.
Be patient and return home. Don't be a crazy fellow. By and by, you will be able to cross the ocean of material existence. So actually, all of us also, we are trying to get out of this ocean of material existence. But then the point is that it is not like there is no magic wand which we can like swap and we can get out of it. So what Mahaprabhu is saying here, krame krame paya loka bhava sindhu kula. So gradually, step by step, you will be able to cross eventually. So don't be impatient. So gradually we can progress, and we cannot like jump over and cross to the other side of the ocean. So that is what he is telling, that be patient and rest assured you will reach your destination, or you will come to me in due course of time. Markata vairagya na kar loka dekha yatha yogya vishaya bhunja anasattahana.
You should not make yourself a show bottle devotee and become a false renunciant. For the time being, enjoy the material world in a befitting way and do not become attached to it. So here is a very important instruction being given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So one should not renounce until one is actually ready. So this is the same question Arjuna also asked in Bhagavad Gita, that what is better? Should I renounce? What is better, sannyas or tyag? So there is that question which Arjuna asked. So here Krishna is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, don't just become a false renunciant. Means externally we renounce the material world, but internally we still have the desires to enjoy this material world. So that makes one a false renunciant. So Lord is saying, do not become a show bottle devotee. So at this point in time, your family situation is, then you remain in your family situation, you enjoy whatever opulences has been bestowed upon you without becoming attached to it. So this is what the Lord is explaining to him.
Antare nishtha kara bahye loka vyavhara achirat Krishna tomai karibe udhara. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, within your heart you should keep yourself very faithful, but externally you may behave like an ordinary man. Thus Krishna will soon be very pleased and deliver you from the clutches of Maya. So a very powerful instruction which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving, especially for all the householders. So here Mahaprabhu is telling that internally be very faithful, very chaste to Supreme Lord, and externally, in your external dealings, do your duties the way it is expected from you. Be like an ordinary person. So if I have children, if I have in-laws, if I have husband, I am taking care of all those responsibilities. If I go for a job, I take care of that responsibility also. If I am a member of any club, I take care of that responsibility also. But just like my duty. And internally, I am very attached to the Supreme Lord, to the process of devotional service, to chanting, hearing, etc. So my attachment is there, but then simultaneously I perform all my duties.
Vṛndāvana dekhiya be asiba Lila-16 tabe tumi ama pasha ashiho na chale.
You may see me at Nilachal, Jagannath Puri, when I return after visiting Vṛndāvana. By that time, you can think of some trick to escape. So Lord has also told him when to come.
Se chala se kale Krishna spura be tomare Krishna kripa yanre tare ke rakhite pare.
What kind of means you will have to use at that time will be revealed by Krishna. If one has Krishna's mercy, no one can check him. So Mahaprabhu is telling, I don't know that how you will come, but if you will be patient and if you will be faithful, and if you will perform your duties, gradually Krishna will reveal one of the way through which you can actually get out of the clutches of your parents. So as one advances in Krishna consciousness, Krishna actually provides the situation which becomes more and more favorable for his further progress. So a time would come for Raghunath Das when his next step, going to Chaitanya Mahāprabhu and staying along with him, so that would be granted, but till such a time he was expected to carry on his duties.
Ita kahi Mahaprabhu tandre vedai dila, ghare asi Mahaprabhu shiksha acharila.
In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell to Raghunath Das, who returned home and did exactly what the Lord told him. So this is very important, that when we take up Krishna consciousness, our mind may say so many things. We may want to do so many things in even devotion, from a devotional point of view. But then here, what did Raghunath Das did? He followed the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Raghunath Das Goswami was very eager. He was saying, we remember this verse where he said, I will just give up my body if you do not allow me to see Lord Chaitanya in Shantipur. So he was, that kind of eagerness was there. But when he received an instruction from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he just followed that instruction. So he did not, so this is how we offer our respects to our Guru Parampara. We follow their instructions, and then we do not allow our emotions to overcome our actions.
Bhaya vairagya vatuta sakala chadiya, yatha yogya karya kare anasaktahana.
After returning home, Raghunath Das gave up all craziness and external pseudo-renunciation. So Markat Vairagya was mentioned there. So pseudo-renunciation he gave up and engaged in his household duties without attachment. So what Mahaprabhu has told, he started performing that instructions to the best of his capabilities.
So what a remarkable transformation.
देखी तांड्र पिता माता बड़ा सुख पाइला, ताहार आवरण किछु शिथिल होइला.
When Raghunath Das' father and mother saw that their son was acting like a householder, they became very happy. Because of this, they slackened their guard. So here what has happened? So Raghunath Das followed the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He engaged in all his duties without being attached to them, and internally he was fully dedicated to the Lord. So seeing his external behavior, his father and mother were now satisfied. Okay, my son has given up his craziness. He's become a normal person. So they became very happy. So then they realized that, okay, so much guarding him is probably not necessary.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So with this, we come to an end of today's session. In the next session, we will conclude this chapter, chapter number 16, and we will see whether Lord actually reaches Vṛndāvana or not. So thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami.